I feel good. I feel good about this week and what we are talking about with our New York Jets. It is going to be great. We are there, man. We are here. It's a great time to be a Jets fan. Again, every year right around this time, it's a good time to be a Jets fan. I am Green Bean. Welcome to episode 151 of GreenBean's Jets Pod. And, yeah, we just might be crossing over, man. Crossing over from the baloney to the constructive. Huh? All right, yeah, we did it. Woo! Well, not all the way, but we're coming over. We're crossing. We're making the leap with the combine here. I'm watching it right now. If you see me looking up every now and then, it's because I'm looking at the combine. It's right there. So I can't help it. When it's around, I got to look at it. That's what I look at. But man, oh man, this is where it gets fun. We start to be able to, our arguments, if you will, because look, it's in our nature, right? It's who we are. We like to, get our hands dirty, so to speak. It's who we are. And we have our ideas on what the best course of action would be for the New York Jets. We get to look at these players, positions, right? I think a lot of us are kind of in the same camp this year, which is nice to see. You know, we have a simple need base. That's what we have. If the Jets just don't overcomplicate this thing, we can do some really good things. We need to be pure, focused, pointed, and driven and aggressive with our goals this offseason. And I think if we do that, we're going to be in a really good place. But here we are. We have the offensive line. We're looking at offensive linemen. We're looking at wide receivers. We're looking at maybe some mid-round quarterback options. And then from there, we got the safeties and defensive tackles. And Dom C will have you believe the Jets need 4 cornerbacks because that's who he is. Dom, I disagree, as you know. But after we get out of the 4th round, I think, it is what it is. There will be some value picks there and guys who, the way we say it, shouldn't be there. So you take that into consideration. But I think this year we have a job to do. Do the job you came to do. That's what we need to do this year. And we're going to talk about all that stuff today. We're also going to talk about some of the cool things that have maybe a highlight or two from the combine, where it stands now and when I'm recording this. I'll point out one of them. We're going to talk about the Zach Wilson truther making some real waves out there. We'll talk about the Zach Wilson trade market and all that a little bit. And we're also going to talk about the Jets offensive line plan, the real plan as it starts to materialize and become real. I think we have a pretty good idea of the direction that the Jets are going to go, and I'm going to make a prediction for you today. We'll do all that, but before we get started, I want to remind you of a couple things. Don't forget about the milk thumbs, everybody. There they are, milk thumbs. That's what we're doing with the milk thumbs. We got to hit the like button in order for the channel to be appreciated by YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. It is greatly appreciated. And don't forget about the bell notification. A lot of people are telling me since I was demonetized earlier this year, actually toward the end of last year, it seems that a lot of people aren't getting reminded when my videos pop up like they used to. So if you hit that bell notification, that'll get you around that, we hope. And again, guys, it's sincerely appreciated. I want to thank my beanbaggers. We are doing our Wednesday nights together. They get the early release of this podcast. They'll get it today, where the most of you guys will do it tomorrow. What that means is it's Sunday today when I'm recording this, and Monday is when most of you are watching it. There's a lot of other things. The beanbaggers, I thank every single one of you for the support. It helps a great deal. And you can join the beanbaggers. The link is in the description below. And guys, don't forget about, where is it? Let's do this one. Liquid IV, the hydration multiplier. Save yourself 15% off of your entire order of Liquid IV by using the promo code GreenBeanJetsFan. You can get that link to the site in the description of this video as well. And a couple more things, guys. We're having our first Talkin' Jets live draft party up there in Long Island. You can attend with us, hang out, live crowd cams, because we're still doing the live stream as we've done for the past 4 years. Ryan, Matt O'Leary, and myself live on YouTube doing the draft, but this time we'll be in person. 3 hours of open bar, 3 hours of a buffet, live crowd cams, interaction, free t-shirts, all kinds of stuff, plus tons of giveaways. We're giving away Tailgate Joe, free tailgating, Coaches Club tickets, I think is. So lots of great stuff. You can join us by purchasing a ticket on Talking Jets or talkingjets.com. That's in the description as well. Just click the link, make it easy. And last thing, the finest in identity protection out there, Aura. You get a 2-week free trial by the link in the description, the Talking Jets link. If you like it, which most of us so far do, $12 a month after that. Protect your identity online. They're the #1 rated identity theft platform on the market today. You can get a 2-week free trial by clicking the link in the description. And that would be wonderful to have your identity protected. Let's dig into this one with the news of the week. So, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Mecole Hardman, right? And it's going to tie into Zach Wilson. It's weird. It's weird how this goes this week because we know the story by now. Mecole Hardman, we signed him in last offseason. He was kind of our, let's call him our marquee free agent wide receiver. I know Allen Lazard technically got more money, but I think Jets fans, as far as who we brought in, we're more excited about Hardman than Lazard and what he could have, potentially bring to the offense and the special teams. Didn't work out for whatever reason. Gibson beat him. They didn't like him. Whatever it might be. He gets traded to the Chiefs and doesn't do very much, gets 100 yards for the time that he was there, but he ends up doing one very, very big thing, which just sucks. And we knew it was coming because we're Jets fans. He catches the winning touchdown for the Super Bowl. So he's the hero. Now everybody wants to hear what he has to say. And what does he have to say? Graves, he wants to throw stones toward the organization that let him go. But he said a couple things that, quite frankly, might get him into some trouble. One is, I was talking to the GM of the Chiefs. I told him to come get me, and that's what we call tampering. So the Jets could make a big deal about that and get the Chiefs in some trouble. And it doesn't paint a good picture for Mecole Hardman if anybody is going to re-sign him. If he wants to go out there and get with a team, they're going to be like, I don't know, this guy just doesn't, he talks. I don't need a guy who's going to potentially get anybody in trouble or anything like that. But what's even worse is that when he's talking this jazz about the offense of the Jets don't know what they're doing, they're losers or whatever. A lot of Jets players, Sauce Gardner, Kenny Yeboah, come out, and Morstead said some things as well. They come out and they insinuate that Mecole Hardman is giving the game plans, the Jets' offensive game plan, to the Eagles and the Chiefs. Now, why would he give it to the Eagles? What the hell is he? Well, because like Yeboah said, the what do you call it? The Georgia Eagles. Well, there's the Georgia connection there, right? So we know that the Eagles like to draft Georgia players very wisely, I might add, and that's where Mecole Hardman comes from. So you have that. Then there's the Chiefs. The Chiefs. Now, it's interesting because we happen to play our two best games against the Eagles and Chiefs. So I don't know, maybe he should have done it more for us. I don't know. But either way, it's kind of shitty. Now, they're talking about it out there. So there was an interesting quote, if you will, by one Chad Ochocinco Johnson. He is somewhat of a Zach Wilson truther these days. So he's all on board with Zach Wilson. He loves him. He thinks Zach Wilson got screwed by the Jets. Now, the truth is, I don't watch the show very often. So I don't know if Chad Johnson is on there every day. I don't know. But he was on the show. Now, first off, he's defending Zach Wilson right out of the gate. Well, nobody could read defenses if, being chased from the rip.
Because I already know he can't throw anyway. Right. He can't read defenses anyway. Why am I going to listen to you?
He can. It's hard to read defenses when everybody on your ass as soon as you snap the ball. But that's neither here nor there.
That's a very Zach Wilson fan thing to say. We know we've heard it time and time again for years and years and years now. So Chad's on that side of things. But then he says something really interesting. Let's take a listen to this. In defense of Mecole Hardman and Zach Wilson, let's see what we make of this one, okay? Take a listen.
This don't really make no sense to me because Whether opposing team has a game plan, and the opposing team knows what you're doing, regardless, it's 11 players on the field, right?
Right.
When the ball snaps, it's 1v1. Coverage is coverage. If you got one-on-one, if you got cover 3, you got man-to-man, and you got to win your individual battle. So even if you know what I'm doing, I still got to beat you regardless. They watch film on you already. They know your tendencies already. So they watch film for a week before you play. All of a sudden, them having the game plan is supposed to make that big of a difference when they got damn footage on you the last 4 games before we play each other. It shouldn't matter. It don't matter.
Do you agree? Do you agree that it doesn't matter if they have your playbook? It doesn't matter if they have your game plan. What's the big deal? It doesn't matter. It's not a big thing. If you know what the game plan is of the team you're about to play, you don't know what their calls are. It doesn't mean anything, because men are men, and 11 on 11, and you're going to win or you're going to lose. That's what it is, right? It's not a big deal. Like Bill Belichick didn't spend years filming teams illegally and their practices and all. He didn't, because it doesn't mean anything, right? It does. Remember, you heard of Spygate? That's what it was. Bill Belichick has been caught numerous times filming the opposing teams. It's not a big deal when they show the playbook, the calls on TV. They made a big deal about this year that the TV guys are showing the play calling and all. It doesn't matter. What does it mean anything? It doesn't mean anything. See, this is the stuff that you start to hear with, people when you're defending a position. Nothing matters anymore. When this is my position, you could show me facts and all kinds. It doesn't matter. I make a justification for it not being a big deal because because it attacks my position. Chad Ochocinco, in my opinion, makes himself look like a complete moron because of course it matters what's going to be called. If you know what the play is, why is there schematics? Why do they disguise looks? Why are there fake handoffs? What is that? What are we even talking about? Ochocinco. It's like this guy doesn't even know the game of football or something. What are we talking about? Either you don't know what you're talking about or you think we don't know what we're talking about. Either way, you're an idiot. And I think it's just this kind of stuff that we're so tired of hearing, whether it's Mecole Hardman talking about the Jets, whether it's the Zach Wilson defense time and time again. Dude, just let the kid go. Let him go be with whoever he wants to. If he's great, great. If he sucks, who cares? It's over. The Jets and Zach Wilson. We don't need to defend or justify one thing or another. Now, the interesting wrinkle to all this is the Jets gave Zach Wilson the opportunity, the permission to seek a trade. And the word on the street is nobody's really all that interested. Now, what's the first thing we're going to hear? Well, because of his contract, because of the money. Well, if he was that good, would the money be that big of a deal? No, it wouldn't. But nobody wants to take a chance on him and pay the money that he's gonna cost. And they're not gonna give up a pick and the money. The word is that if the Jets want anybody to trade for him and take on the money, they're gonna need to give a pick for Zach Wilson. If they want to get a pick, they're gonna have to pay the whole contract. So you see this, that's a player who's not coveted. I just want to point that out to everybody. If he was somebody that teams wanted, like really wanted, thought there was value there, they're willing to do this. They're willing to throw a 6th-round pick and pay the contract. They're not so far. And that's, again, just like we talked about with when you want to know what the league really thinks of Zach Wilson, you look at how teams play against Zach Wilson. They played against Zach Wilson the same exact way for 3 straight years. Every single team played against the Jets the same way for 3 years. They stacked the box, took away the running game, and said, beat us with the quarterback.
Because I already know he can't throw anyway. Right. He can't read defenses anyway. Why am I going to listen to you?
And time and time again, he would lose. Every now and then he'd come up and play a great game, like the Texans game this year looked fantastic. The Chiefs game, he looked pretty damn good. But other than that, he looks lost. He looks confused. He looks overwhelmed. And that's why teams just play him that way. The same thing applies with value when you're talking about a trade. If teams valued this guy, then they'd give a pick for a late round pick, a mid-round pick, something like that for the quarterback who was the 2nd overall pick just 3 years ago. So there you go. That's the way that one looks. Chad Ochocinco, I don't know what the hell you're even talking about. And again, the Zach Wilson thing, I just can't wait until it's over, man. If he goes on and in 9 years ends up being a good quarterback like Geno Smith, fantastic. Oh, look at all these guys jumping around. Oh, look at that. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Everybody's doing backflips. The quarterbacks and wide receivers they're showing. Wonderful, wonderful. So let's talk about the Combine a little bit. So the Combine, we saw a historic moment. Which is really kind of cool. I love seeing stuff like this. You know, when you watch the Combine, you know, we overanalyze these guys. I mean, we're looking at just we're splitting hairs, fine-tooth comb, man. We're digging into these fellas. And sometimes unfairly, but sometimes you see things that really kind of separate. You have them rated evenly. Sometimes these drills and how they perform really separates one from the other one, and you can kind of use that information. So the Combine's really cool, you know. So the Combine's a cool thing, but you get moments like this. Let's take a look at a record-breaking moment real quick in the 2024 NFL Combine.
Take your time, man. You're chasing a record. Don't rush this thing here.
An unofficial 4.25 in his first run, and he's going to run it again to try and get John Ross's 4.22. Here he goes. Oh!
Keep going. He might just keep running right out of the stadium.
The roar of the crowd.
But what a cool thing. And you hear, you know, what he says. I've been watching the Combine my whole life. Like, here I am, this moment. You can see him when he's walking away, just smiling, man. I mean, I hope he can appreciate it. You know, take that in. You work your whole life towards something, and in front of the world, you capture the moment. And that's a great thing. Like Eminem talk about. Sometimes you gotta squeeze it and hold it, or whatever he said. Seize it. Seize the moment, right? Eminem. 8 Mile, everybody. There you go. So it's a good thing. Now, you watch all the drills, you watch these guys, and the interview process. It seems that the Jets have interviewed pretty much every offensive lineman that we are talking about. The Jets have shown interest, and that's what we want. You know, we talk about this every year, you know, what the Jets should do. What should the Jets do? The Jets should this, the Jets should that. We argue this position, that position. Even in 2022, the great draft that we had with Sauce and Garrett and JJ and Breece Hall. And then we got Michael Clemens and Mitchell in the fourth. But look at that draft. It's such a strong draft. And we argued just till the picks were made, what picks should happen. Now, in that draft, as you know, I wanted an edge rusher at all costs. And when the Jets made it out of 4 and 10 without an edge rusher, I couldn't believe it. I was distraught. I was unhappy. I was very, very upset. And then the way it turned out, you look back and it's an amazing draft. So what are we going to do this year? I think we need to really shake it off the complexities of it all. It's really not that difficult. It's football. And the Jets need to really just take away all the noise. Look at what it is that this team has been lacking. You know, we sign guys, we move guys, we cut guys, we draft guys, and there's all these plans. This year, it's really kind of simple. The Jets need to do very, very simple things, and that is fix the offensive line once and for all, and you need to add a couple weapons, maybe 1-2 legitimate weapons to the offense. You can support the defense, whatever you got to do, whatever we're going to do at safety or what have you. But it's really about the offense. The defense has been fine. It's the offense. The offense is so bad that we have been a 7-win team at best the last 2 years, right? 7 wins the last 2 years, really predicated on the inadequacies of the offense. So we got to get past this and get to this point where we focus solely on those 2 weak links. Offensive line, weaponry, right? That's what we got to do. It sounds like the Jets are going that way. Joe Douglas said this week that it's a Jets-friendly draft, and he mentioned offensive line, wide receiver, and quarterbacks as being 3 positional groups that are strong after saying Jets-friendly. That would lead you to believe that the Jets are looking at offensive line, wide receiver, and, quarterback. So, hey, sounds good to me. If that's all we did in this draft, I'm going to be really, really happy with it. But obviously, we got to look at free agency first. So let's talk about this. let's talk about what this is going to look like. What will the Jets do to fix these simple things that we have to fix? And for that, let's get into the intelligent gripe. Right, so let's start the whole thing with the Joe Douglas quote. Very recent Joe Douglas quote. And let's see what we deduce out of this quote. You ready? Let's take a look. Here it is. We don't have any decision on exactly where he's going to line up. Now, he's talking about Elijah Vera Tucker, all right? But AVT's ability to play 4 different spots and play 4 different spots well gives us a lot of flexibility moving forward on our roster building and our O-line building. So we got this one guy. Really, we have 2 if you include Tippmann's versatility as well with center and guard. But keeping it to AVT, we have this one guy that Joe Douglas says can play 4 different spots. It's going to give us incredible flexibility with our O-line and team building, our roster building. It's great. All right, great. The one thing we're going to do this year, we're not going to move Elijah Vera Tucker around. We're going to have a spot for him and leave him there for the season, no matter what happens. Now, that's music to my ears. Wherever it is, keep him there. Just keep him there and stop the dance, right? Stop. Well, we'll just throw Elijah Vera Tucker. Just stick Elijah Vera Tucker over there. Great. Music to my ears. But the other thing is this. Isn't it a little concerning that the 2 guys that we're really kind of banking on, the whole season rides on 2 guys. One, as mentioned in this in this little quote here, is Elijah Vera Tucker. Okay, fine. The other guy is Aaron Rodgers, right? Fair enough. Both of whom had Achilles tendon tears this year. So our entire season, our flexibility in our roster building and our quarterback, our whole season rides on the healing of 2 Achilles tendons. So I don't know. It's concerning. It's freaky, spooky, if you will. Now, where is Elijah Vera Tucker going to play? Well, I think talking about the flexibility is a good thing at this point. No matter what, they could already have decided he's going to be left guard, right guard, who knows. But talking about it, and the fact that he's played both right tackle and left tackle at the NFL level and played it very, very well, played right tackle more, but he's played both tackle positions well, very well. He's played both guard positions very well. So we have that flexibility, and that going into the draft, going into free agency even, could take away some of the desperation, some of the urgency that teams might attach to you, making you think that you have to take one player over another, and therefore they can jump you like we saw last year with Broderick Jones, or just kind of knowing your plans, right? We don't want them to know. We want to have that flexibility. That said, I hear something very specific in this quote. If he's going to be the guard, he's going to be the guard. I think, and brace yourselves for this, Jets fans, I think Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be one of our tackles. That's what I think. Now, most people, if that's going to be the case, you would assume he's going to be our right tackle. Why? Because he's played it more. Fine. I wouldn't be surprised, everybody, if he ends up being our left tackle. Now, we're talking about some things in free agency. Tyron Smith is the big name this week. The Dallas Cowboys basically said that the Tyron Smith era in Dallas is over. So that means he's going to be a free agent. Now, what's his market value? The market value, I've seen everything from $7.5 million to $13, $14 million. Either way, I think the Jets can do that if they want to. The problem is he hasn't been healthy since 2015, hasn't played a full season. That's a long time. That's 9 years, everybody. It's a long time to not play a full season. And what's the Jets' woes? Offensive lineman getting injured. So we're bringing on a guy. The other guy we talk about is Bakhtiari. He hasn't played barely anything in 2 years. So it's his spooky scenario going on. If you bring one of these guys on and you have AVT at right tackle and you have Tyron Smith at left tackle, you have to have a backup plan for the left tackle. But you have to. So even if AVT's right, and Tyron Smith is left, or if you bring on Illuminor for right and AVT's left, it still doesn't say that you're not taking a tackle in the first. Like, for example, you have let's say you have Tyron Smith on the left-hand side. You think he's going to give you, you hope he plays all season, but you say, okay, he's going to give us 10 games. Those 10 games could be the games you utilize to get your draft pick up to snuff, whether that's Fashanu, whether that's Fwanga, whether that's Mims or Latham, whoever it might be. It gives you that time to kind of take them off the front burner, so to speak. It gives you that time to get them rolling so you feel better about him. You're not throwing him right to the wolves and hoping that he can protect your number one commodity, which is a recently season-injured Aaron Rodgers, right? You want to make sure this guy stands upright. So if you have that ability you bring on a Tyron Smith or a Bakhtiari, and you have AVT at the other tackle spot with Carter Warren and Mitchell behind him developing, and you go ahead and you use your 10 on a tackle anyway, that might be the actual best way to do things. It might be the best way to do things. I've said it all offseason. I said it last offseason. I was hoping they did this. Overkill, in my opinion, is the way to go. Overkill. I would rather have too many damn tackles than not enough tackles. I'd rather have too many interior offensive linemen than not enough. And I think it's time that we look at it that way. Look, if it's you got a good linebacker over here and you got another guy, it's like your third tackle. Take the tackle. Just take him. If we've learned anything, it's that guys don't stay healthy on this offensive line. Whatever the reason, the turf, the conditioning, I don't know what it is. The fact that we keep signing guys that are always injured. I don't know what it is. Overkill would be the order of the day. I hope that the Jets understand that and appreciate that and think that way. And that would be the way to do it. It looks like the Jets are going to be shooting for Tyron Smith. That's what it looks like this week. The report I saw said the Jets seem to be the team that will offer him the most money. Great. If that's your guy, go get him and still take a tackle. But what it might give the Jets the ability to do is slide back a little bit from 10 to somewhere in the top 15. You slide back, you recoup another pick, and you can still take a Mims or somebody with a little bit more risk associated with them, and still feel pretty good for your opening day roster. And where does that leave us for the interior? Well, we have Tippmann. If AVT's outside and Tyron Smith is outside, you got Tippmann at the center, we still need two guards. What are you going to do there? That's the question. If AVT's not going to play inside, you got to find two guards. So maybe a Zeitler, maybe a Hunt from the Dolphins. I think the Jets are definitely going to go for one free agent guard at minimum. You go for the free agent tackle and you go for the free agent guard. You bring in guys that you know can play at the offense at the NFL level. But then what? Okay, so now you got Tyron Smith, you got a gap, you got Tippmann, you got Zeitler, you got Hunt. Hunt's a right guard. Zeitler, I might be a left guard. But then you got AVT outside. And you got Carter Warren and Max Mitchell floating around the background, doing their development thing. Now what do? Well, you recoup the pick by sliding back. You got Mims on the backup tackle to hang out with Carter Warren and Mitchell. And now you're looking at the ability to draft interior offensive linemen with either, let's say you got an extra third or maybe even a second-round pick. If it's a second-round pick, you can grab a guy like Christian Haynes or Cooper Beebe. If it's a third-round pick, you got to see who's still around at that point and see. But the truth is, guys, is you can get interior offensive linemen in the third and fourth round all day, every day that can come in and block. Now, the common thought process that Aaron Rodgers doesn't want rookies in front of him blocking, right? We heard that last year. We've seen it before. Tippmann is no longer a rookie and did very well his rookie year, so he's safe. But the idea of bringing in a rookie to start in the interior might be something that we have to avoid. So maybe you see the Jets go out and get two interior offensive linemen in the free agent market. We still have Wes Schweitzer here, so there's that. I don't really like Wes Schweitzer that much. Again, we saw him on his back more than once this year. Getting pushed back is one thing. Laying on your back's another one entirely, and I don't like it. I don't like seeing that on my offensive lineman. So there's that. But here's my prediction for the offensive line situation. Here's what I see happening. I think they are going to sign Tyron Smith. Okay, it's a Jetsy thing to do. You can't deny his talent when he's on the field, so they're going to bank on that. They're going to do it, and they're going to go and bring him in. That's going to give them the ability to slide back. They're going to. One of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to slide back a couple spots and hope Latham, Fuanga, or Mims are sitting there. I think they're okay with any of them. Latham and Fuanga are definitely only going to be right side. Mims, the versatility of both sides, we don't know because we never see him play, but that's there. He says he's practiced at both, so he's good with both. Fine. But they're going to go ahead, slide back, and hope that one of those guys are there, recoup a third-round pick, and we'll see what happens. The other option is this, and I talked about this a little bit in the Tuesday night Talking Jets panel, and we did it on the Monday Night Mock as well. If they sign Tyron Smith and maybe even bring in another tackle, free agency, reserve type, but they got AVT on the right-hand side, what they can do is they can slide all the way back to the 20s. You can slide back to the 20s, maybe even 20 with Pittsburgh. They want to come up and grab J.J. McCarthy or something like that. You can get a second and a third from Pittsburgh for that move. That puts you in the 50s, I think is where Pittsburgh is. 51. That's where they've. So if we got their second and third, just hypothetically speaking, because that's around the value of sliding back to 20, you're looking at pick 51 and 84. So that gives you 51, 72, 84. If you're sitting there at 20, there's a very realistic chance that you can get the best offensive lineman, arguably the best offensive lineman in the entire draft. Jackson Powers Johnson, JPJ as he's affectionately known. You can slide back. You got Tyron Smith. You got AVT. You grab JPJ. You're sitting there at 51. You can grab Tyler Guyton or Jordan Morgan or one of those guys that are more than likely be sitting there in the 50s. There's quite a few that you could like there. That if you're not, depending on them starting on day one, they're fine picks. Have them sitting there grooming for a minute. You can add the best offensive lineman in the draft. You can slide back, pick up your backup tackle, your future starter tackle. Then in the third round, you can pick up another interior line or the wide receiver, Malik Washington, or whoever. And now we're talking. So let me whittle that back for you. Tyron Smith, slide back in the first, get a Darius Mims or J.C. Latham right there, or slide back further, get JPJ, Tyler Guyton in the second, and then a Cooper Beebe or whoever in the third. You can do that, or a Christian Haynes or whoever you like better in the third. You grab your Zeitler or your Hunt in free agency, and then you got AVT, and now we're talking about a legitimate, real, live NFL offensive line. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm telling you, these comments from Joe Douglas, yes, we're talking about versatility. Yes, we're talking about flexibility, but I hear AVT at tackle. That's what I hear. Is it what I want? Not necessarily, but it's what I think we're going to get. Let me know what you think in the comments. I want to tell you about tonight. The Monday night 10 o'clock mock is back. Dom C and I are going to dig into this one. I hope you will join us. It's a great time. Don't forget about all the things I told you. Liquid IV and Aura. The links are in the description. Guys, have a great rest of the day. Have a great week. See you tonight. And as always, go Jets.